You heard Nick Moore mention about Christian Wilkins and Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, Chris Jones, and now you got Micah Parsons on deck this week. Dan Orlovsky gave some analysis on what the Ravens have struggled with the elite pass rushers and how they should plan to attack that in week 3 and beyond. So let's play that, Zach.
What is your biggest concern about the Ravens right now?
They're not handling people at the line of scrimmage the appropriate way. They allowed Max Crosby to, I think, win AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And if they treat Micah Parsons the way that they did Max Crosby, they're going to lose this football game as well. Max Crosby lined up at the right number 1. Baltimore, you're not going to be able to gap scheme towards Micah Parsons. He's going to do that same stuff, understanding it's Derrick Henry in the backfield. He's going to get blown up. You can't pull people towards Micah Parsons. Second of all, you can't down block one-on-one versus these elite edge guys. Micah's going to do the same thing. Max just gets upfield, blows up the play, 5-yard loss. Again, Derrick Henry in the backfield. Now watch what Max does. This little shrink down. Again, as the motion, they're trying to one block Max Crosby with Isaiah Likely. You're not going to be able to do that to Micah Parsons. So I think this is a little bit attached to when Derrick Henry is in the backfield on 1st and 2nd downs, and he is in what we call like the dot position or the home, meaning directly lined up behind the quarterback in the gun in the pistol or underneath. They're likely to run the football there. Micah Parsons is going to have tells. They got to handle and have a plan for those elite edge guys in the pass and the run game much better.
So, and it's a good point, right? It further validates what we've talked about, Zach. For Baltimore, the glaring concern for people, analysts, fans, the offensive line play specifically, and being able to give Lamar enough time to make his reads and do what he can to, if you want to have bigger plays down the field. But for your run game, trying to be a little bit more unpredictable. Now, the Ravens did pick up the run game in the second half of last week's game. You saw Derrick get going, but I hear what they're saying, Zach. That is the concern. But I think it's also the evolution and gelling. I know you didn't agree with Dan earlier when talking about that the Ravens are being too predictable. You still stand pat with that?
Yeah, I do. I think it's just because of how early it is in the season, because we saw from week 1 to week 2 the change of when week 1, without a doubt, they were predictable. They only ran the ball with Justice Hill once. They got him a little bit more involved. They got Derrick Henry more involved in the pass game this past game. So I would like to see a step forward, continue, especially with play action. But the biggest thing that I agree with Dan here is he hit the nail right on the head. If the Baltimore Ravens treat Micah Parsons the way they did Max Crosby, they will be walking out of Dallas 0-3. And I don't think it's a question. If they allow Micah Parsons to go in there and wreck the game like they did Max Crosby, and just you're always working behind on the sticks, you always have pressure in the backfield, it's going to be a long day, especially with how that offense for Dallas is playing, what we know they're capable of. If you get into a shootout with Dallas and you're allowing Micah Parsons to wreak havoc, it's going to be a long day for Baltimore.
Well, it will be a long day. And for a guy, especially like Micah Parsons, where there are moments, and I shouldn't say this. It's not that I think that Micah's less of a player than the other guys. But with Micah, there are certain ways that you can even contain him a little bit more than Chris Jones and Max Crosby or Wilkins, just because of how they're built up. Like, Wilkins and Jones are very good against the run too, right? And Max Crosby is also very aggressive and can wreak havoc. Micah Parsons, his true athleticism with rushing the passer is unbelievable. He's probably the best pass rusher overall. Max Crosby might just be the freak that just like, how do you keep going, Energizer Bunny? And then there's Chris Jones that just is just so damn good. But, yeah, you're going to have to be very calculated because he is a game wrecker at the end of the day. And the Ravens have had games wrecked or had big moments in the first 2 games. The sack fumble from Lamar Jackson by Chris Jones in game 1. Max Crosby's big sack when Baltimore got the ball back. 1st and 10. Crosby gets the sack. 2nd and 19. Ravens then that drive stalls. We know what happens next. The Raiders get the ball back after a shanked punt. And they go down, kick a field goal, and the Ravens lose. So you got to find